Today we will be making a Bitty Bunny. It's the perfect project for someone with a little bit of Amigurumi experience under your belt, but you still feel like a beginner. But if you're a total newbie, please make sure to check out my Bubble the Catster tutorial, which will walk you through each and every step for learning how to make Amigurumi for the very first time. Make sure to grab your free downloadable Bitty Bunnies pattern, and you will get instructions for both how to make the little boy Bitty Bunny and the little girl Bitty Bunny. Both instructions are in there, but today we will just be making little Benedict Bunny. You're going to need a few materials to be able to crochet your very own Bitty Bunny. You're going to need some worsted weight yarn in 3 different colors, one for the body, one for the ears, and one for the scarf. You're also going to need a 3.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle to sew on the ears and the little arms. You will need safety eyes in any size that you like, but these are a 6mm, a small amount of black embroidery floss so we can embroider the little nose and mouth. You will also need stuffing, a pair of scissors, and a stitch marker. And finally, this is optional, but if you would like to put a little button on your scarf, you can use that as well. We're going to be starting with a magic ring right here at the top of the head of the Bitty Bunny, and then we will be working our way down. If you need a little help with your technique of making a magic ring, please check my tutorial in the description box below how to make a magic ring. But let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. Using our body color, we will go ahead and start with our magic ring, and we're going to make 6 single crochet in that magic ring. Now we're going to grab our tail here and we're going to pull this tight. For round 2, we are going to increase in each one of these 6 stitches, which is going to give us 12. And this first one is always the hardest one. Okay, once we get in there, you're going to want to mark the first stitch of every single round that we make. Makes life a lot easier. And then we just go ahead and make 2 single crochet in each one of these as our increases. This second round is always the most difficult. Okay, let's just make sure that we have 12 stitches in this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So for round 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet increase, and that's going to give us 18 stitches. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that first stitch. So we do 1 single crochet and then we increase, and then we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So this is our last single crochet and then our last increase. And let's just make sure that we have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're now on round 4, and we're just going to do 2 single crochet increase, and we're going to do that all the way around, and we will have 24 stitches at the end of this one. And I'm going to do the first couple of them with you, and then I'm going to let you pause the video, and we will meet back at the end of this round. So we do 1, 2, then we'll increase, 1, 2, increase. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and then we'll meet back and we'll just count to make sure we have the right amount of stitches. All right, let's go ahead and count and make sure that we have 24 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. All right, we are ready to go on to round 5, which is just 3 single crochet increase, and I'll do one of those with you, and then I will let you finish the rest. 1, 2, 3, and then increase. So go ahead and finish that all the way around for round 5 here, and you will have 30 stitches. So when you're finished, make sure to count that, and then we will start round 6. After round 5, you should have 30 stitches, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to round 6, which is just 4 single crochet increase, and you will have 36 stitches after the end of this round. So go ahead, make 4 single crochet increase, and we will meet back after this round. So after round 6, you should have 36 stitches, and I went through and I counted to make sure. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to rounds 7 through 11. And all you have to do for 7 through 11 is just do a single crochet in each one of these stitches. So you'll do that for rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. That's 5 rounds. This is when it's fun because you don't have to count. You just need to keep track of how many rounds you're doing. You don't need to count your stitches because you already know that you have 36 stitches. So you should have finished round 11 and you still have 36 stitches, and you're going to notice that it's going to be curling like this, like a little cup or a bowl, but make sure that you are getting the outside on the outside and the inside on the inside. So this can always be confusing to beginners if you don't realize that it's naturally going to want to curl with the inside out. So we're going to curl it this way. We're going to start round 12, and this one is just 5 single crochet, and then we increase, and we're going to do that all the way around, and you will have 42 stitches at the end. So do that all the way around, count your stitches, you should have 42, and then we will meet back for rounds 13 and 14. All right, you should have finished round 12 and you have 42 stitches. And now for rounds 13 and 14, we are just going to single crochet all the way around for rounds 13 and 14. We are going to do 5 single crochet and then we're going to decrease. And I do an invisible decrease is what it's called, and I will show you exactly how I do it. So we'll go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, when you start to decrease is when you start finding out whether or not you have the correct stitch count or not. Because if you don't have the correct stitch count, it won't work out. So hopefully you had 42 stitches here and we're going down to 36. So now we're here on our decrease and we're going to look at the front loops of these next 2 stitches. So I'm not going to fully go through the entire stitch. I'm just going to take this front loop. So I'm basically splitting this stitch in half. So if you look at your stitches along the top, they look like this. We're just going to go under that first one. So we're under that first one. Then we've got to move our head of our crochet hook under the second one. And that can be kind of tough, especially depending on your tension. I'm usually a pretty tight crocheter, so it can be tough. And then we're just going to pull through both of those loops, and sometimes it'll split the yarn a little bit, and that's okay. And then we will, let me redo that. Sometimes you just have to redo it. All right, so now those stitches are a little bit loosened up, so it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, I got through all the way. And then we're going to pull through. So we took those 2 stitches and turned them into 1. So we're going to go ahead and continue 5 single crochet decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to do that decrease again. Oop, I went through both of it. There we go. 1 in the front of that one, and in the front loop of this one, pull through and pull through. So go ahead and repeat this all the way around. 5 single crochet, decrease, and you will have 36 stitches after this round. All right, you finished round 15 and we are on to round 16, which is just 4 single crochet decrease, and we'll end up with 30 stitches at the end. Almost forgot to put my stitch marker in. And now we are going to do that invisible decrease right here. All right, just keep going all the way around. 4 single crochet, decrease, and we will meet back for round 17. All right, now you are done with round 16 and you should have 30 stitches, and we're moving on to round 17, which is 3 single crochet decrease, and we will end up with 24 stitches. After this round, you're going to need your safety eyes because we're gonna go ahead and put those on. This is the part where it starts to get exciting because you start to see your little bunny rabbit come to life. So 3 single crochet decrease. I had to remind myself. 1, 2, 3, and decrease. So do that all the way around. Now we are going to add the eyes to our little bunny rabbit here. And one of the things to note is that for this little guy, I used 6mm eyes, but I don't have any 6mm. I have the 5mm eye here, and this is from Glass Eyes Online. This is one of my favorite places to buy safety eyes, and I really love these backs. They aren't the curved like the other ones are. It's a flat back, and I find that they're a lot easier to put on, and they really don't ever come off. So make sure if you use these and you put your safety eyes on, if you put the back on them, they're probably not coming off. So one of the first things that we need to do is identify where the beginning of our round is with our stitch marker back here, because we're going to go straight across here. This is going to be basically the center between the 2 eyes. And I just like to eyeball it, or you could actually even put a pin there if you really wanted to. I think maybe that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have a pin right here with me, but I'm going to just use this as a visual guide so I know that my eyes are going to go somewhere between these 2. Now the pattern says that we're going to add safety eyes at round 11, approximately 7 stitches apart. So we're going to look at our very first circle up here with our magic ring, and we are going to count this as number 1 because we 6 single crocheted in our magic ring for our first round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Look at that. I guessed exactly where that was going to be. So now we're going to look at each one of these stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to just look at these stitches and look where the best placement for the eyes is. You may want your eyes exactly like this, and these are 7 stitches apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 7 stitches apart, but maybe you want yours closer together. It really is up to you. So give yours personality any way that you would like it to be. So I just put the eyes on, and then let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's see if this looks centered at all. Well, that one is a little bit further over, so I'm going to try this one. And I think it's important to just try, move them around and just see, what do you think? Do you like the way it looks? Okay, I actually like that just a little bit better. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put the backs on these. And I'll show you exactly what the backs look like. A little closer up. And they're flat. All right, so let's go ahead. And I kind of like to turn mine inside out a little bit, and that way I'm able to really get that back on there super secure. There we go. And then I'll put on the second one. And this is also the time when I'm going to embroider the little nose right here. I think it's so much easier when you haven't closed and you're able to just do it inside and out. When I'm embroidering the nose and mouth, I don't want to use all 6 strands of my embroidery floss. So I'm going to just pull out 2 or 3 strands because I think it just looks a little bit neater. And I also feel like when you use yarn, it doesn't look quite as neat and clean as embroidery floss does. So let me get these lined up and ready to embroider. I'm gonna try it with 3, but if I think it looks a little too thick, I might actually undo it and just use 2. I'm going to start with that little center where this little Y shape all comes together, and it's 1 stitch below where we added our eyes. So I'm gonna look for that central spot right there in the middle, right between my eyes, 1 stitch below. And then you're going to want to go back down right in that same spot that you originally started. And then we're going to go straight down 1 more stitch, 1 more round down, and we're going to go right underneath. And you don't have to go right in an open spot from a stitch. You can split the stitch so that it is totally vertical and it's not slanted. There we go. I think that that looks really cute, and I'm just going to secure the back here. I'm just going to tie these ends together and they'll be inside and hidden away. Okay, so now your bunny should be looking a whole lot more like a little bunny right now. And we're moving on to round 18, which is 2 single crochet decrease, and we will end up with 18 stitches. 1 and 2, and then we're going to make our invisible decrease. One, 2, invisible decrease. Now, with these invisible decreases, and as we are decreasing down and making the neck, you're definitely going to want to pull those decreases nice and tight. Otherwise, you're going to get really big holes right there. But the good thing is we are going to be making a little scarf. So if you feel like, oh, these are really big holes, don't worry. It's going to be covered up by the little scarf. But it's always a good idea to make sure to do the best job you can. And so I've done my invisible decrease, and I'm going into this next stitch, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull on that yarn and pull this so that next stitch after the invisible decrease is nice and tight. So I hope that was a helpful little tip right there. So go ahead and finish this. You will end up with 18 stitches after the round, and we'll meet back for round 19. Okay, so we're ready for round 19, and we are just going to make 1 single crochet decrease all the way around. And at the end of this round, you will have 12 stitches. All right, so for round 20, all we're going to do is single crochet all the way around each one of the 12 stitches. Now it's time to go ahead and stuff the head. And I like to just go ahead and remove my stitch marker just so it's out of the way, but I pull this loop pretty good so that there's no way I'm going to undo any of my stitches. So I just use a little bit, and I like this little bamboo stick that sometimes comes in the packs of polyfill, and I just start stuffing it in there. If you've not really done a lot of amigurumi before, it's sometimes surprising how much stuffing you actually use for these little tiny small spaces, because stuffing will eventually deflate a little bit over time. So you actually want to overstuff just a little bit so that it feels nice and firm, because this guy is a couple of years old, and although he's a little bit squishier, there aren't any big dips or anything like that, and his stuffing has stayed really well because I stuffed him a little extra full. And I like to press it down and pack it down in there because that gives you more room to add more stuffing. And you want to get down all into all the different corners and areas. And the last thing, just make sure you're keeping an eye on your working yarn in your loop, that you're not stuffing it down in there while you're stuffing your little head here. So the little head is nicely stuffed right now, and we are moving on to round 21, where we make one single crochet increase all the way around. And at the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches. So for round 22, we are just going to single crochet in each one of those 18 stitches. For round 23, we're just going to do 2 single crochet increase, and at the end of this round, you will have 24 stitches. Now for rounds 24 and 25, you're just going to single crochet in each one of the stitches, and you're going to do that for rounds 24 and 25, and we will meet back for round 26. For round 26, we are just going to do 3 single crochet increase, and at the end of this round, we will have 30 stitches. So now we are finished with round 26, and for rounds 27 and 28, you're just going to single crochet in each one of those 30 stitches. So go ahead and do 2 rounds of single crochet in each one of the stitches. You should be finished with rounds 27 and 28, and we're moving on to round 29, which is just 4 single crochet increase. And at the end of this round, you will have 36 stitches. Okay, so you should have finished round 29 with 36 stitches, and now we are moving on to rounds 30 and 31, and you're just going to single crochet in each one of those 36 stitches. And we will meet back for round 32. Okay, so we finished round 31, and for round 32, we are just making 5 single crochet increase all the way around, and at the end of the round, you will have 42 stitches. So we finished round 32, and we're moving on to rounds 33 and 34, which are just to make a single crochet in each one of those stitches. So go ahead and do that for 2 rounds, and we will meet back for round 35. So now you should be on round 35 and have 42 stitches. And we are now going to be starting the decreasing part, which is right in this area, because we're getting ready to start the legs soon. So for this round, we're doing 5 single crochet decrease. So we're going down from 42 stitches to 36 stitches. And then I will do my invisible decrease into those front loops only. So go ahead and repeat that, then count your stitches to make sure that you have 36 in total, and we'll meet back for round 36. So you should have 36 stitches, and we are now on rounds 36 and 37, and we're just going to single crochet in each one of these stitches. So go ahead and do that for 2 rounds, and we will meet back, and we're going to start working on dividing our legs. Okay, so you should have finished round 37, and it's time for us to divide the legs. I don't like to stuff right now because I feel like the stuffing gets in the way, but if you want to stuff a little bit inside the body, go right ahead. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just kind of flatten this out. And I'm going to look for the 2 central middle stitches here in the front and 2 in the back. I'm also going to go ahead and get out 4 stitch markers. And you're not going to need them the entire time, but it's nice to have them right here. So let's look. I kind of just eyeball it. It's going to be this center area in between the legs. These are the 2 stitches that we're identifying, and it just will make it look neater if it's pretty much right here in the center where the nose is. I just want to make sure that this is flat. So it looks like these are my 2 central stitches right here. Now I'm not going to mark those stitches. I'm going to mark the stitch directly to the left of that middle central stitch right there. Okay, so I'm going to put one right here. These are my 2 middle stitches that I'm not going to mark. I'm going to mark the stitch right to the right of that. So we have 1, 2, and I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Okay, so these are my 2 middle stitches. We're going to identify the 2 middle stitches in the back. And the easiest way to do that is to count our stitches for the leg. So each leg is going to be 16 stitches in total. This marked stitch is our very first stitch for our leg. So we need to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And so we're going to mark that 16th stitch right here. I'm going to go ahead and recount and just make sure, because it's really easy to mess up in this part of the legs and lose a stitch somewhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Perfect. Now I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of our stitch marker that marks the beginning of the round because I don't really need it anymore. So now these 2 stitches here are our middle 2 stitches. It's the little gap right there between the legs. So I'm going to mark the stitch directly to the left. And so I've got these 2 stitches in the middle not marked. And I'm just going to make sure that this is also 16 stitches around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, perfect. So now our legs are marked. All right, so we've got our legs marked and we have our stitch right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet all the way over to our stitch marker. I'm going to take my stitch marker out and I'm going to single crochet in that stitch, and then I'm going to put the stitch marker back in. Now I'm going to close this just in case something happens and it falls out. Now what we're doing is we're going back over to the front. So we're at the back of our work. We're going to go over to the front and we're going to find that stitch that we marked in the front. And this is the stitch that we're going to go into to join this leg. So we're going to take that one out and I'm going to know exactly where it is. And I'm going to come kind of to the front of that stitch and just single crochet. I'm going to make it nice and tight. Now I don't need to remark this stitch because it's not the beginning of our round, and now that we know exactly where we went into, we don't need that stitch anymore. So I'm going to continue to crochet around this leg. Until we get to our stitch marker, and then I will tell you what we're going to do. Okay, so this is the last stitch before my stitch marker for this first leg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just count and make sure again that I still have 16 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So that was round 38 of our first leg. You're going to single crochet around this leg until you finish round 49. So that was round 38 that we just finished. So you're going to go ahead and continue to make this leg crocheting all the way around, and make sure to keep track of how many rounds you're doing, and you will stop after round 49. So this is what your little bunny should look like right now. And what I'm going to do before we move on to round 50 is I'm going to just go ahead and stuff the body and then stuff this leg. Okay, so I've left a little bit of space right here so that I can go ahead and do my decrease, and then I will definitely stuff more as I go. So for round 50, we are going to do 2 single crochet decrease, which will leave us with 12 stitches after this round. Make sure to count that you have 12 stitches left, and stuff your leg if you need a little more stuffing in there. And then we're going to go ahead to round 51, which is to decrease in each stitch. And I always find when you're decreasing every single stitch to be just a little bit awkward. So just know that we all feel that way. And you will end up with 6 stitches at the end of this round. And before you close up your little leg here at the bottom, make sure that you stuff a little bit extra so that the leg is nice and full. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my end now. Well, that didn't go very well. There we go. And what I like to do is always slip stitch to the first stitch in the round. So I'll remove my stitch marker, and I'm just going to slip stitch right here. I just think it looks a little bit neater, and pull all the way through. So I've got a little bit left to stuff right here. So I'm going to just put a little bit more stuffing inside there so that it is nice and full. So go ahead and get your yarn needle, and what we're going to do is just go in the front loop of each one of these 6 stitches that we have. So we're just going to go through that front loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to pull it really tight, and then I'm going to go back down and come out the back of the leg right back here, and I'll just kind of pull it. I like how this looks kind of flat on the bottom, and then I'm going to go over just one little stitch and just come out the other side. I'm not going to pull too tight here because I don't want that to pucker right there. And then I'm just going to trim my end right away. One leg done. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start our second leg, and we're going to turn our little bunny rabbit over upside down and backwards. And we're going to join our yarn right here at this back stitch that we still have marked. And we're going to leave an extra long tail this time because that's what we're going to use to sew up the gap between the legs. So we are going to join right where that stitch was, and I'm going to grab my working yarn. Make sure not to grab your long tail that you have here, and we're going to just yarn over, pull up a loop. And instead of slip stitching and chaining one, we are going to make a standing single crochet. And so we're just going to pull through and go through both of those loops. So that's just called a standing single crochet. And I really like that for beginning this leg. So now we're just going to crochet all the way around this leg. And let's meet back when we make it to our marked stitch. So we're at the very last stitch here that we have marked, and I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and I'm not going to knead it. And now we are going to just single crochet like normal in that stitch. Now I want you to turn your bunny upside down or backwards, and we're going to find that standing single crochet that we made. If you marked it, great. If you didn't, it's just the one that's attached to your tail. And I'm going to bring my crochet hook to the front of my work, and I am going to go right into that stitch, and I'm going to single crochet. Now I'm going to pull my working yarn really good right here, and I'm going to pull my tail, and I'm going to pinch this closed so that I can get this as tight as possible. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark that as the first stitch in our round. And don't worry about this little gap right here. We can fix all of that when we sew it closed. So now you should still have 16 stitches around, and we just finished round 38. So go ahead and finish rounds 39 through 49, and we'll meet back for round 50. So go ahead and finish your leg just like we did on the first one. And for round 50, you're going to do 2 single crochet decrease, and you'll be left with 12 stitches. And then you might want to stuff the leg really good. And then for round 51, you're going to decrease every stitch around so that you end up with 6 stitches at the end. And then just make sure to stuff it really well. Well, there's Miss Olive. Make sure to stuff it really well and close the bottom of your leg. All right, so you've got your 2 legs done, and this is the perfect time to seam the gap between the 2 legs. And honestly, I don't really have much of a rhyme or a reason for how I do this. I just try to make it look neat and close it up really tightly. And just pinch it closed while I'm seaming. And then if you see little gaps down here, down the leg a little bit, I like to just go down the side of the leg just so that it's really closed. And then I make my way back, and I'll do this several times so that it is very, very secure and tightly closed. Now we're going to go ahead and just make the little arm, and it is very simple. And we're just going to start with a magic ring, and we're going to make 6 single crochet in the magic ring. And I'm using the same color as the body, but if you want to be a little more creative, you could use different colors as well. So we'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Find my tail here, and we will close. For round 2, we're going to do 1 single crochet increase, and that will leave us with 9 stitches. This one is always the hardest one. There we go. 1 increase, 1. Oh, these are always the hardest rounds for me right after the magic ring. Increase, 1, and increase. And this is the time I like to pull on our tail to really close the gap in that magic ring. For rounds 3 through 16, you're just going to single crochet in each one of these 9 stitches. So go ahead and do that, and we will meet back here for round 17. Okay, so you should have finished round 16, and now we're going to do the very last round of our little arm here. And this would be the point if you want to stuff your arm to go ahead and do that now. I recommend stuffing halfway or 2/3 of the way, but don't stuff up into the top third of the arm. I'm actually not even going to stuff these arms at all because there's a tendency if you stuff them too much that they stick out like this. For this little arm, if you see here, I just like how it looks really flat against his body. So I'm actually not even stuffing this even a little bit. But I do recommend going ahead and stuffing if you're going to before we start this last decrease round. So for this, we are doing 1 single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. We're going to do that all the way around. And when you only have 9 stitches, this can be a little bit tricky. Leave a long tail so that you can join it to the body. Like I said before, I always like to slip stitch to the first stitch in the round. I think it just makes it look neater when you're finishing off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to join these arms, and I like them to be almost at the neck. Almost meaning 1 round below where the neck joins to the body. So I'm going to go right into here. And I really don't have any type of particular way I do it. I just go sideways into the stitch, and then I come into the arm, then I'll go back into the arm, and I will go back into the body and pick up 1 stitch there. I always like to pull so that it is nice and tight there. And then I'm going to come down the body into the back. Go 1 over. There we go. Go ahead and make your second arm and then sew it onto the side of the body, and we'll start making the ears next. Now we've got the little arms on, and it's time to give him some ears. So this is the shape that we are making, and I like using a contrasting color for the ears. I just think it looks really cute. Use whatever color you like for the little ears, and we'll go ahead and get started. We will start with 6 single crochet in a magic ring. Let's close our ring here. So for round 2, we're just going to single crochet in each one of these 6 stitches in our magic ring. And this is always really tough when you're just single crocheting and not doing any increases in those 6 single crochet. So go ahead and pull your tail to make sure that the hole is nice and tight and closed. So I'm going to use my little tool to make sure that this is turned in the correct way so that the outside's on the outside and the inside's on the inside. So for round 3, we're just doing 1 single crochet increase, and we will have 9 stitches at the end of this round. For round 4, we're going to do 2 single crochet increase, and we will end up with 12 stitches. For round 5, we are doing 3 single crochet increase, and we will end up with 15 stitches at the end of this round. For rounds 6, 7, and 8, you're just going to single crochet in each one of these 15 stitches, and then I will meet you back for round 9. For round 9, we're going to do 3 single crochet decrease. And at the end of this round, we will have 12 stitches in total. For rounds 10 and 11, you're just going to single crochet in each stitch, and we will meet back for round 12 together. All right, so for round 12, we're going to just do 2 single crochet decrease, and we will end up with 9 stitches at the end of this round. For rounds 13 and 14, you're just going to single crochet in each one of those 9 stitches, and then we will meet back here for round 15. For round 15, we are going to do 1 single crochet decrease, and we will have 6 stitches at the end of this round. And for round 16, all we do is single crochet in each one of these 6 stitches, and all we do after this is bind off, and I'll show you exactly how we sew them on. Make sure to leave a long tail, and then I will slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. Just pull that tail all the way through, and now we have our little ear. For the ears, I just look up here at the magic ring at the very top, and I just count these rings down to the 7th round. So we look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's where I'm going to join my ear on this little guy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm just going to mark that really quickly, and I'm going to get my ear, and that's exactly where I'm going to place him. One thing I like to do is make sure that I'm right over my arms here. I feel like it makes a nice little line right there. And do this several times so that the ear is really secure and you know that it's not going to come off. Just go down, and then I'm picking up stitches from the head here as I'm doing this, and then coming right back up into the ear. Okay, now I'm going to take my needle into the center of the ear and bring it all the way to the back. And then just go 1 stitch over, and I will just take it right out the bottom. 1 ear on. Now the other thing I like to do is just follow the line across, and I'll know that's exactly where I need to put my 2nd ear. And then let's meet back after you do that to make his little scarf. Okay, our bunny is now ready for his little scarf. I found a button that I really liked. It's like a little navy blue, and I think it'll look great with this really pretty orangey tangerine color. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our first row is a chain 6. Going to make a slip stitch. We'll just chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now for row 2, we're going to start in the 3rd chain from the hook. So there's our first 1, 2, and 3. We're going to make 4 half double crochets all the way across. So there's 1. And I am going to mark this just because I always like to know where my first stitch in my round is, and sometimes that can be a little bit tricky for me. Now we're going to do our next half double crochet, 2, 3, and 4. And at the end of this round, you're going to chain 2, and this does not count as a stitch. We're going to turn our work, and for rows 3 through 49, you're just going to do a half double crochet in each one of those 4 stitches, and then chain 2 at the end, turn, and keep going. Do that for rows 3 through 49, and then we'll meet back to add the button. All right, so you should have a really long scarf, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do with it. Cut our end here. We're just going to pull it through, and then I'm going to weave in the ends really quick. And then I'm going to show you how we just wrap this around the little neck and add the button. So now you should have a really long scarf, and what we're going to do is we're just going to start it across the body a little bit like that. And then I wrap it all the way around and come down. Now, I want mine to be a little bit more symmetrical than this, so I'm actually going to bring this down just a little bit. There we go. And now I'm just going to add the button right here. And what I like to do is just get the little button, and then I also like to try to get some embroidery floss that matches as best as I can. And really, it's fine. Use whatever you have. And I use a sharp sewing needle for this. So I just put it exactly where I want it. And I'm going to go through all of the layers of the scarf because I actually just don't want it to come off. And then I just sew it on there just like you would any other button. I hope you enjoyed crocheting your very own Bitty Bunny. And if you made one, tag me on Instagram at Le Petit Saint Crochet. I would love to see it. And as always, Benedict and I would like you to stay safe out there and happy stitching.